Part 2.
Silly. What? Ha ha ha. Silly. What?
It's a
Diabetes.
It's a
Ozempic.
yeah.
I know
It's
that.
a glutamate or something like that, and it's a shot, and it like.
So people are using it for weight loss.
So people are using it for weight loss. It was developed for diabetes. It also was developed to help women, or not developed, but it's been found to help women with PCOS.
What's that mean? Is that what you have?
That's what I thought I have. I do not. But it's polycystic, whatever. And so I can't remember it all. But it, again, has to do with like...
But basically it's taking away from diabetics that actually need the fucking medication.
Yeah.
Because then there's a shortage
cool.
because people who don't, and that's why everybody in Hollywood that's super skinny all of a sudden, like have you seen Jessica Simpson who looks like she's gonna
Oh
like,
my golly.
something else.
Not only is she skinny, but
It's
she has
gotta
the
be
worst.
that.
She's wearing.
Something else.
I think that's something else too. Because
I think she's fucking on,
I mean,
everybody
she might be on
in
that,
Hollywood is doing that
But
shit.
she also wears sunglasses in every single moment of her Instagram or whatever. She has the darkest fucking circle, black under her eyes, sunken.
She's not healthy. She's not like fat and sassy like me.
No, but I think that's the thing is like you find. I think no, that's not okay. There's a difference between.
What did Sophia Loren say? She was like, I'd rather eat pasta and drink wine than be skinny.
That's true.
Like, if I could eat pasta.
Well,
I
it makes you
eat,
sick.
like,
Oh.
You have.
Do I have to see how I eat it? It happened.
But you presented it to me. It was on that side. And you were like, this makes you sick. It was right
Is
there.
it still on there?
No, it's gone.
I always put, if I put chapstick on before I put my little dry
You go
one
like
on.
this?
Yeah.
I know, but it doesn't ever really sit into my lips, so it like comes
It's
off
always
of my
just
teeth.
floating on top.
At least it's clear.
The lipstick?
Oh, I thought you said chapstick.
Oh no! If I have to put the lipstick on first and then the chapstick on, because I put the lipstick underneath. The lipstick just so that's what I did. I put lipstick on top of the lip burner thing you gave me.
Yeah, Brooke tried to
Poison us
and take our lips off.
I got it off Pinterest. It took 2 years to get here.
I'm gonna wear it every day. I don't care. Made me feel like my lips were big.
Gonna be a
they
real
were swollen.
It's gonna be a real audio medium by in 2 weeks because Mel's not gonna have any lips. No visuals, no cameras.
Listen, I am this close to not having any lips anyway, so it can't be worse. I'd rather have blistered, burned, at least I look like I might have lippage than becoming fucking, what's his name from Much Ado About Nothing? He was married to Emma Thompson.
Oh.
Kenneth Branagh?
Kenneth
Branagh.
Branagh. My face
What
is
happened
turning
to
into
him?
Kenneth Branagh. He has no lips.
Oh,
Zero.
yeah, he's never had lips.
I never noticed
Zero.
that about
He
him.
is
You know, because they're
actual.
like this.
I must have British in me something. It's not. I'm not just Irish. There's no way.
Well,
I think my family has lied so much.
Well, I'm sure you're a blend. Have you done
sure it's
23andMe?
I'm sending it in this week.
Oh,
Yeah.
really?
Yeah, my Charlie got it for my mom, my sister, and myself. For
Yeah, it's great.
he is actually friends with one of the guys that works for 23andMe, and he like is a pharmacist and does the whole like thing. And so he got a discount. Oh, I don't know if I'm listening to that. I'm sure it's fine. Nobody's listening.
Well, you know what's funny? My mom, she did it. Like, I bought it for everybody, too, because for 1 year for Christmas.
Yeah.
And my parents registered their names differently. Because they didn't want anyone to, like, know that DNA was theirs. So, like, my mom...
Are they not going to show up with leaves? Their leaf isn't going to come up
Well,
for
that's
you?
Ancestry.
Still.
We did 23andMe.
I think
it's
they
different.
connect. You can connect them, though.
Yeah, I don't do that shit.
That's fine. You don't have to.
I did do Ancestry too. I did both of them. But so like when I go into 23andMe, it's like, you know, you have a relative and
You might have a relative out there,
But
and he's
it's-
like, "That's
it's-
my dad."
I'm like, well, that's my mom, but it's not her name. It's like,
Right. Oh.
yeah.
Can you do that?
Susie Lou. Who?
Wait, were they worried about their DNA being caught if they were like murderers or something?
I think it's just about they're of that like generation where they don't want people knowing their
Like Big
shit.
Brother.
Their business.
Yeah, like
Yeah, but-
what could they do with my DNA? Do you know what I mean?
in a crime scene.
Yeah,
'cause
exactly.
That's exactly what they're gonna do.
Right. No,
That's what I mean.
seriously.
I feel like when people are
Me,
afraid
I'm like,
of-
whatever.
Swap.
Take
care.
it. I did the whole even gene thing. I paid extra to
that's what
find
we're
out
doing.
like
Yeah.
what I have, which Alzheimer's, which
Me
is
too.
in my family, and I have.
Oh, interesting.
I have the Alzheimer's
and
gene.
like, what was another one that came up? And I was actually surprised by it.
Do you know what came up on mine? And this sounds like I'm bragging, and I'm super not because it's so fucking ridiculous and stupid. But it comes up like all of your things, like whether you're going to be, you prone to diabetes or prone to whatever. And I was prone to Alzheimer's, which I knew because my grandfather, right? So I knew that was in. Plus, I have no fucking memory of anything. But that's mostly drinking. But
Mine's weed.
Anyway, so I'm prone to Alzheimer's, late set on Alzheimer's, actually.
Same.
For mine, not early set, which is good to hear. Because I'm sure Charlie would be dead by then. There's no way he's going to fucking outlive me. So, fingers crossed. I don't know what the fuck.
Like a
Well,
really
he and I have
dark.
talked about
You're
that.
supposed to say the opposite, even if you don't believe it.
No, I know. No, he and I have talked about this. We both know. Like we gotta just make sure. But
Oh my God, you guys are
So
a goddamn
dark.
mess.
you have to think about that shit though. When you're married and you have kids, you have to like think about like, okay, not who's gonna go. Like, we're not
I
gonna
don't
plan
think
it.
about that shit. Who's going first?
But when his mom went first, we saw what happened, and we were like, Charlie wouldn't survive without me. He just wouldn't. I understand what you're saying in your mind. I'm telling you, he would have a really hard time.
Well, yeah, duh.
Yeah. I think I could go a good, 10 years. After he has.
Oh my God, what is happening right now?
I'm kidding.
not.
He will laugh at that joke. No, but my thing came back and it said, I have the DNA of an elite athlete. And I was like, this is switched. This is not right. I was like, oh, really?
Oh, your potential, Mel.
I'm not living up to my potential.
You're
apparently.
really not.
Maybe
No.
you would know what it was like to stand on a podium.
Right?
In
If
the
I had,
Olympics.
if I was given the parental opportunity. Although on my dad's side, it goes all the way back to the major leagues.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Does that mean I'm an athlete too? Because of Nobby?
What'd he do?
Yeah.
He was a professional baseball player. He's a pitcher.
Yeah.
For what? For who?
Elite athlete, Anastasia Rakowski.
No, I'm kidding. If you check your DNA, I wonder if it'll say that.
Yeah.
Though.
Interesting.
Interesting. So what if you brought that up in the first episode and it actually is within your realm of potential?
That would be fucking wild.
And what if you decide right now that that's what you want to do? What if there's an Olympic sport that you can be like, I'm going to... I mean, curling couldn't have been around forever.
Curling.
What would your Olympic sport be, do you think? Other than friendliness and loveliness.
If I can invent an
And
Olympic
singing.
sport?
Yeah.
God. I don't even know. Binging Grey's Anatomy at
Done.
speed.
Let's do it.
Knowing all episodes from Cheers.
Cheers.
From
Yeah.
Cheers, which I do.
I think that's a pretty good one.
Yeah, reading the fastest. We used to have reading clubs when I was a kid.
Dude, I can
He's
remember.
such a nerd.
I can remember they taught us and brought it in, and they projected it onto the screen.
Yeah.
And we did speed reading. They conditioned us
What?
and taught us speed reading.
They didn't teach us
when I was in
speed
elementary
reading.
school.
And you're not afraid of Big Brother at all? And you're like a machine?
No, it's
you're probably like a Russian.
speed reading. Like now I can speed read through.
Can
shit.
you really? It stuck with you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Shit.
It helped me in college for sure.
I have
when you had
zero
to read a lot,
comprehension.
because I learned how to speed read and find what I needed.
Yeah.
What was especially when you have to read so damn much in college too.
Yeah.
It was like,
Yeah.
yeah, I can decipher. I can look at
Shit.
a lot of content. Isn't that crazy that I think about that?
I
And then they
cannot.
brought out certain kids after. Then we were like you said, a reading club. That's what made me think about it, because they showed it to the class, and then there were certain kids that they pulled out, and we I guess we were the elite in the speed.
You were
reading.
pulled out? You were one of them?
Oh yeah,
Shit.
speed reading over there.
I have
I
zero
used
comprehension,
to-
which is why Snoop Dogg is reading me all of my plays right now.
so hilarious.
It's true.
Wait, what?
I have this new app called
She said
Speechify.
what?
I have this new app called Speechify.
Yeah.
And I can put any PDF in there or a book, and it'll read me what's going on. So, because I don't have time to sit and read a
Yeah,
book,
of course.
right? I have little kids and I have zero comprehension. And right now, actually, Cece's struggling with that. And Charlie's questioning her on Harry Potter. And he was like, how do you not know what Quidditch is like? And she's like, I'm like, that'd be me. I gave that to her. Zero comprehension. But if a book is read to me, I remember it because it becomes a story in my head better or something like that. So we were reading the James Baldwin book. And I was like, let me just try this thing. And Snoop Dogg was a fucking option. And so he read to me Sonny's Blues.
I do love Snoop Dogg's voice.
Gwyneth Paltrow's on there. Right. But there's also other people that read like news normally or whatever. And so you can pick kind of the tone of voice you want or how they read. Because if they're used to reading news, they'll read something, even if it's a book, like news. But it's great. And so I was thinking about that earlier when you said you were going to send me your script. And I was like, I'm going to have somebody read it to me.
There you go.
Like Snoop Dogg. Just
I don't know if he'll go.
Yeah. Gwyneth Paltrow.
I'm gonna.
You want now? Then you're not gonna like.
I can have somebody with a British accent, or with a Boston accent, or I can.
It's by Tom
Matt
Stoppard,
Damon
so I
read it.
recommend. It's not my play. It's Tom Stoppard's play. It's Arcadia.
Arcadia.
I recommend a British person.
Okay.
Or Gwyneth. She's British in her mind.
That's true. Her and Madonna.
Madonna.
So stale.
Hi, we're in the second episode of.
Look at us. I was still trying to log into my 23andMe to find
out
how I'm gonna die.
Wouldn't that be nice? Oh, I don't know.
No, I don't want a countdown.
No, I don't want a countdown club. It'd be nice to know it was going to be like cancer. Although then every time you got cancer, you'd be like, "This is the one."
No, because because things
then
that your
creates
mind
cancer.
knows no, I don't.
Yeah,
I don't want it.
But I always think I have cancer, and I don't, unless I do.
You keep thinking you have it. You keep telling yourself you have it. You're going to eventually have it. You know that, right?
I just
Go
assume
see
I
a
have it.
doctor.
I did. I just got a colonoscopy, and everything's great.
Her asshole is fine.
You're good to
Everything all up inside me is
go.
good.
You're good to go.
I'm good to go. It's
But
fine.
she may have cancer of the finger.
I probably have cancer somewhere.
I heard that's a real
No
deterrent,
colonoscopies
people.
for the finger.
I now have cancer of the lips.
They just rub.
Put acid on my face.
Both suffering.
Interest.
So when you sign up for the Patreon highest tier, you do get some
You
of this
get
shit.
all of this intro.
Yeah. But you also do get the behind the scenes of how to practically apply.
How to practically apply.
Yeah. Things in the industry. Whether you want to become a writer or a director, we have an executive producer coming on, we have a casting director coming on, we have an agent coming on, and we also have...
Did you say an Asian?
She is Asian, though. She's Japanese. Oh, America. So, yeah, she's an agent, but she's Asian. Oh, my God, I say them the same.
Stop it.
I say them the same.
She's from Ohio. She can't help it.
Realize I said them the same. Oh, goodness. No, but you might decide that, hey, I want to become a
Asian.
stand-in. Or Asian.
Agent. I said Asian,
Agent.
Mel.
You say library, too.
I say
And
library.
jury.
You do. Oh,
What do you
fucking
say?
Library.
I say jury, too. Like, I need to get in my
Jewelry is
box.
jury.
My jury box.
I say room for room.
Oh.
Brum. That's Boston.
Brum.
It's like the one character.
Do you add
say brum?
R's to things like a sofa?
No. When I went to school,
Warsh.
when I went to college, The Departed had just come out. And so I just tell people I'm from Boston. It's easier than saying like I'm from Scott. I missed it.
What was
Did you just dog her?
Oil. You know, like I'm from Indiana or Illinois. My family in Illinois would say oil.
What's that?
Hey, we go over there and hand me that oil.
Oil?
Oh, like
Yes.
cooking? I'm like
Yeah.
watching your mouth.
They had an R. In the oral. I was like, you had R. Like, I remember my parents lived in Boston.
Oral.
And I saw a commercial where the guy was like, "Come on down and get your new Sofra." I was like, "You're on TV.
Right, we
And
should.
you're
This is
saying
not okay.
Sofra.
Yeah, it's not okay.
No.
Come on down and get your new Sofra." So I was like, "Oh, they put R's just like we do it, like oral."
Was this from Bernie and Phil's?
I don't
Your Boston listeners will appreciate that.
We need to. There needs to be a sketch in there.
Yeah.
Lure.
Every dialect in the country that puts an R somewhere.
Yeah. Well, my grandma
belong.
used to say "warsh,"
Warsh.
but that's Ohio.
It's not. Yeah.
It's not normal. It's fine. So we are what?
Okay, well, this is the second section that you actually paid money for.
Oh shit.
Whoa.
So,
sorry.
what?
No, we're gonna give you the practical application of how to.
Multiple things, right? So, the fact that you got into being a stand-in for...
That's a big deal.
Yes,
So-
for an A-list actor.
Yes.
On a big film set.
Actress.
I think that actor. We're woke.
Do we do that? I thought we say
Yes.
actress now because we're like, no, I'm a woman. I'm an
No,
actress.
Woke actor. We're not
Am I gonna break this tie?
anymore.
Personally,
We're
like,
not stewards.
Well,
I think they're interchangeable. I don't mind either, but
Anastasia, give us the answer. When you
this
call
goes-
for an
this
actor,
goes
what do
way-
you say?
I need an actress.
it's just like in the military, you know, they don't say yes sir anymore.
What do they?
What do they say?
They say
Yes, sir.
staff. Yes, staff.
Like staff sergeant.
Yeah.
Or a staph infection.
Interesting.
I mean, depends on what you got going on.
Yeah. If you want to be in the industry, Anastasia's going to give you.
Well, in what section, right? So
Whoa.
Anastasia is in the realm right now.
Seems to be.
Seems to
She's holding
be.
it
Seems to be
together
doing
by a
something
thread.
important.
Well, my point is she's gone through so many different
Yes.
levels
Yeah.
of the industry.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so right now she's in development, but she's also could probably give us a little insight, which I think she did in the previous episode. She lied to get the
Mostly,
role.
she just
Dirty
lied.
liar.
I want to know actually how you.
dirty liar.
Dirty liar.
I mean, how do you? First of all, I do want to talk about the nannying thing because there's people out there that think that if they're going to go into the industry, they have to get like a serving job. And if you're in New York or Chicago, probably even Atlanta, serving jobs are great. You make a lot of money. You only work at night for the most part. You can work from like the 7 o'clock shift to 2 o'clock in the morning and then know that you have to get up to an audition or an open call the next day. However, if you're in LA, serving jobs are rough.
Yeah.
Because you get a lot of day shifts. They're long shifts to be able to make enough money.
Yeah.
And you're constantly balancing somebody covering you because you don't find out you have an audition until the night before sometimes. Oftentimes, at least back in the day too, when it wasn't self-tapes. Now, actually, it might be easier with self-tapes because you get it and when you're at home, you can do it instead of having a time to show up. But if you're going into producers, if you're going in for callbacks that isn't Zoom, you're going into the room. Especially to producers or to, which is network. So when you work in the network, say CBS, ABC, whatever, Netflix, you have to audition, then where you send it a tape nowadays. And then the second thing you do is you then will probably have a Zoom call with casting to whittle you guys down to see where you're going to be
You
sent.
said whittle.
And then...
That's one of my
And
favorite
then
words.
panties. And then then you finally get a call from the casting director and they say, hey, listen, we want to send you to producers. There's going to be 5 of you usually about around there. And then you actually go onto the lot and you go into front of producers.
We're going to measure you up and see.
Yeah. Well, there's 5 that we're choosing between. Yeah.
And you could be a better actor, but if you're
And just
not tall
always
enough,
wear
then you're out.
scrubs. Just always wear scrubs.
Just
Don't ever do that. But for you, the nanny aspect of that's huge because there's a lot of people out there that would much rather be doing that. So how did you get into that and how did it work for you? You slept with so many people, didn't you?
Yes.
One of those kids was
Dads
actually
and moms were
Yeah.
equal opportunity. No.
Everyone got
Schwarzenegger.
She's made now, by the way. That maid is made. Do you like what I did there?
The son is the one that's
Oh, sorry.
too much inside information. We'll tell you later.
That's
Oh,
for
goodness.
if you pay the extra.
Extra.
That's the
We
top
talk
tier.
shit.
That's
You
the
just have to
elite
move out
tier.
here and want to be a part of the production company.
That's the elite tier.
Yeah.
I always loved kids and babysitting. Ever since I was a little kid, I loved kids, and I babysat all through like high school and stuff. And then my mom worked in the service industry she was a GM of a restaurant in Boston. And so like that was like always in our bones. Not while I was growing up. I was very fortunate growing up where like my mom got to like be a stay-at-home mom. This is a huge tangent, but that's all to say is that she was a waitress and then a GM, and she loved it. And then I was a hostess one summer in college, and I was like, this is just not, this is not for me. But like, I appreciate my brother, like you were saying earlier, works at this restaurant in Beverly Hills.
That's a career though. Like his is a career. He's a high level guy. Yeah.
And I guess I just like didn't want to work in the service industry.
Yeah.
And I knew I could work as a nanny and be with kids and stuff. And so the first time I did it, I was still, I was doing an intensive at Atlantic Theater Company in New York. And there was this website called Sitter City. Sponsor them.
We'll put
Moms Are
on the
Too.
site.
I don't even know if that's still a thing, but there was sittercityandcare.com, and I applied or I just put my profile up on there, and it was essentially like submitting to be an actor. I was just like, hi, hire me to watch your kid.
Care.com is still out there. We have to
hashtag
this. Yeah. I'm going to take notes on hashtags just so that I can make sure we put it in the episode.
Yeah. And so I wasn't living in New York full time, but I ended up working for this family in Lincoln Center or Columbus Circle, and they had like a newborn baby girl. And so we had Fridays off from the intensive, so like Fridays and then like Saturday and Sunday for a couple hours, I would just like go hold a baby. And I was like, oh my god, it's the best thing ever.
That sounds actually terrible to me.
It was really nice because like the intensive
maybe I would now.
The intensive was so intense. It was like so full on, and to just kind of find that like peace where I literally like we would just go out to the courtyard and like she would sleep and I would read a book, and then I would go party my face off on Saturday night.
But you did.
Yeah, and so it that was my first like New York babysitting gig. And then when I moved back there full time, I was like, oh, I'm just gonna do that. And the stories I could tell.
Holy cow, I can only imagine.
Just you meet every kind there. And when I started babysitting, I was can I say what I was charging?
Yeah.
I was charging $15 an hour when I started babysitting for one kid. And this one family I was babysitting for, like the mom, she knew where I lived was like 100 blocks from where she lived, and I had been babysitting for her for like a couple weeks or a couple months actually. And then like one time she comes home and she's like, so when she naps, do you mind just like going out for a little bit, and I'll just text you and let you know when she's coming back? And I was like, okay, sure. So like I left when the little girl went down for a nap and got the coffee that cost the hour I wasn't working.
Yeah, right.
And she didn't pay me for that hour. And then it just kind of kept happening. And I was like, oh my God, okay. So, and then like another, like, it always like kind of baffled me when like parents would negotiate for their children, because like if you have more kids, I charged more.
Yeah.
Right.
And like if I was going over for like a night shift, like sure, yeah, am I sitting on your couch watching TV? Yes. But like, am I going to save all 3 of your kids in a fire? Yeah, I'm going to do that. So also like you live in a massive 5-bedroom apartment in Battery Park. Like $3 to you is not anything. So, and just all kinds of whatever. But then I just found these 2 families and I became family. I'm still in contact with them. This is like a super long anser and overview.
No, but that's a big deal. Making sure you're finding your right niche in that.
Yes. Yeah. And then it became like, it just became an open conversation and trust with it, where it was like, I did have my set hours that I had to go babysit for. Yeah. And like I said, that was a detriment to my audition schedule and things like that. Yeah? I do. I'm not saying I'd be super famous at this point, but...
No, but what did you feel about the hours? What hours were you working that you felt like it took away?
I was working during the day. And so like Tuesday, Thursday, I just couldn't audition that day. I had to work. Like I worked in the morning for the one family, and then I would go work in the afternoon for the other family.
And in New York, what kind of auditions were you? Did you have an agent at the time where they would call you and tell you, or was it just open calls you were finding? Or
No, New York, I just kind of did it all on my own. And again,
through Backstage?
Through Backstage and Actors Access.
Okay.
Backstage is big in New York. I don't know if it's big there anymore.
Oh,
so
I
don't want to say it is or not. But when I was there, Backstage was really big. They had just gotten an online submission presence, and so that was a new thing. But like the first couple months I lived there, I would like go down the corner shop and get Backstage and whatnot. Like I was told,
I
had a reader in Chicago, and I would be highlighting.
So that wasn't so much a thing anymore, and I feel like I missed out on a little bit of that. But Backstage had become kind of like an Actors Access submission thing.
Yeah.
And so I was on those two sites, and I was submitting myself. Crazily, I had a friend take my headshots, and he did a great job at that. And and I was just hoping auditions would be Monday, Wednesday, Friday.
I think, regardless of whether you're doing nannying or whatever your job is, there are you get to a certain point where that you just can't make it those days if you're scheduled, even as a server.
Yeah.
I remember I used to be able to switch. So like if I was doing a show, we'd have rehearsals at night, and then the shows were at night, so I would switch and work days, right? So at least you had that flexibility, or you could try to get someone to cover your shift, but you couldn't always, and especially if you got the audition like the day before. And it really sucks in that way when you are a struggling working actor and you have to also pay the bills and work the little job that you do. Because you do miss out on some of those opportunities, I think, regardless of your nanny or your
that's
server.
hard because especially when you're first, in LA. And in Chicago, I had an easier time because I was doing theater in Chicago. And so Chicago was a lot of just like, well, when can you get here kind of thing, right? But here in LA, when I was working, say, like at the Cat and Fiddle, all of us were actors. Yeah. And so we were very good about switching shifts, but there was a lot of times where it was like one of us was doing really well and getting a lot of auditions, and we had to fucking call off on a regular basis. And that was really hard.
It's hard because
it's stressful. Every week I'd get my schedule and I'd be like, I don't even know what days I can work this week.
It is so stressful because like I didn't have I couldn't call out, obviously, nannying, but like it is stressful where you're just like, God, I don't want to disappoint these people because they were so kind to me, especially the families that I ended up getting to. And I always went into a job saying like, listen, I'm an actor. Yeah. That's what's going to come. I'm not a flake, but I am an actor.
That's a good way to put things, though.
Yeah.
Genuinely.
And even not when I worked out here, not when I worked at the agency, because that was a different thing, but like when I got my next job, I went in being like, I'm an actor. This could happen, and blah, blah, blah. And once I set that kind of expectation, I was able to be a little bit more okay with like, working with, and then, you just get these relationships with these people and your nanny, and it's like, listen, can you just like help me out? Or I always made sure, I always made sure that I had another friend who I could offer her cover.
That's great.
And
that's a really good.
So because there were like a little network of us babysitters and nannies in New York, and so like, God forbid, if I had to leave early or if I had to come later, if I was just not going to make my $80 that day, I always had my friend Nikki or Victoria or Dina or someone. I was like, listen, I can't be there, and I know ideally you would like to have me with your kids, but like, here's Nikki. Use her.
Too, though, that
Nikki walked in with a cigarette.
Right, exactly.
And her own kid on her head.
Yeah, exactly.
But I like that you set boundaries at the jump. And I think that anybody can relate to that in just when you're going into something, especially that needs to have some fluidity bit.
Yeah.
Just putting those boundaries out there and setting them at the jump instead of being afraid to like let down people.
Yes, I would love to say that like I set my boundaries and I stick to them, and I don't feel bad, blah blah, but like, oh God, the heart shattering thing, I'm just like, oh, I'm disappointing people.
No, I that actually is one of my things that I have a problem with, is that I will not as much disappointing people is my biggest thing.
Go on.
No, but you have a thing about committed. Like, I'm committed. I said I was going to do
That's
it.
right. That's fucking right.
I picked this font.
Because
and I'm
I've
gonna
had to.
use it.
Because I have this thing about not being accountable.
You're not a quitter.
And I'm not a quitter. But I also, like, because of I think a lot of server things, I left jobs knowing that they thought that I was a flake.
Yeah.
And I'm fucking not. But I had to be a flake.
But I don't care about your
Yes.
job enough.
I couldn't.
I know.
No,
I had things that took me. And so I hate that I left that legacy behind. And one thing is A, I shouldn't fucking care. But B, I would have felt better if I did lay that out in the beginning, saying, like, I'm an actor. I'm not a flake, but I am an actor. And I didn't. So I always said, you know, I'm an actor, da-da-da-da, so this might happen. And they're like, yeah, we get that all the time. But then when it does happen, they can't fucking swallow it.
Right.
And that's also then hard to walk away from someone who's like, but you're leaving us in the lurch. And I'm like, I don't know what to do. This is fucking like NBC.
Yeah.
Like I can't not
Right.
go.
Well, so, you went going from nannying while you're trying to be an actress. But then you got into development, and I'd love to actually, for anybody who's interested in that aspect, because I feel like we'll have a lot of actors on, and we'll have a lot of but I think having that insight on somebody who may want to jump into producing or like,
and how did, because that isn't something that people go to college for, is development. So what happened how did you get into what was that jump for you, and how did you have it make sense, and then also how are you following through with it to make it lucrative and a job?
I've always been a little bossy. And
that's why we get along.
Yeah, I've been a little bossy. And that's to say that, like, when I learned that I could work directly with other writers and tell them, like, what I thought. My family has this joke where my dad, who is just delightful and lovely and super supportive, but he'll always go, sis, what, because I'm the only girl, he'll just go, sis, what you ought to do, and then he'll be like, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
And so my mom always jokes, like, you know what you ought to do? And I'm like, shut up.
Yeah.
But I guess that's kind of rolled over. But that's, so how I ended up in development was through happy accidents, which I think is like what we were talking about earlier. It's just like everyone's career is just super different.
You have to listen to them and
you
follow
have to listen to them.
And,
yeah. And
Is that like a Bob Ross saying? Happy little accident.
it might be.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Remember when he would like
happy
mess
little
up?
trees, but
Right,
happy
but
little
it's
accident
like,
too.
little
Yeah.
accident. Like,
Which is actually right, because especially in this career in the industry, you have to be very, very aware of the happy little accidents.
Yeah. And the happy little accident is the journey of it was that I when I first moved out to LA, I got a job within 2 weeks working here at this restaurant, which I said, and then I mistakenly submitted for an assistant at an agency job, and I went in and they like essentially hired me on the spot, and to be an agent's assistant in an unscripted department. And I had no idea what I was getting into. I had no idea that like being an agent's assistant is like a super coveted spot, and it's really hard to get. I feel like an idiot saying this, but I got that position.
How did you submit for it? Do you remember?
I don't know if it was on Entertainment Partners or the UTA job list, or something like that, or maybe a friend sent it to me, a listing or something like that. And I went in, and I ended up getting this job as working as an assistant on 2 senior agents in the unscripted department. And working in an agency is hell. It is so hard. You are managing egos and expectations and personalities and money and other people's money mainly. And schedules and rolling calls and blah, blah, blah. it was one of the hardest jobs I've ever had. However, it let me walk in and get the next assistant job that I got. And so, and exceed.
How long were you there? Do you remember?
So I was there for about a year, and
Okay.
they dissolved the department.
Okay. Do you think it was because of you?
Yes.
I was about to say
I rolled in and they were like, "Oh man,
let's
there's
just
no
burn this
coming
shit to the
back."
ground.
They're like,
There's-
she's better than everybody here. We can't have this reputation.
And I can offline with some horror stories and stuff, but we kind of we called it the Bay. Like the agents all had their offices, and we were all in the middle, and like we all
What do they call it?
a bullpen.
Bullpen.
Yeah, we called it the Bay of Misfit Toys because it was just like a bunch of random
What a
agents.
You guys wanted to be dentists.
We did. Really, we just wanted to make dads proud. But like that, I earned a group of friends right there immediately.
I love that.
And we all earned respect for each other. We all are still in a group thread today. Like, I don't want to say we trauma bonded together.
No,
but
but I
like,
mean, that's a big deal.
it was,
like Panama.
one of us would be getting yelled at and we'd be like, stay strong, you got this, like whatever.
Yeah.
And so the department got, they got rid of that department at the end of 2019. And so 2020.
Unscripted. 2019. Unscripted?
Yeah.
They dissolved
Do you think
it?
they started the pandemic and they knew?
Well,
Do you know what I mean? Because unscripted is a lot of like improv and close personal
I don't
shit,
know.
like-
We came out of but we got Tiger King out of that shit.
It's true.
So, I don't know.
did not work on Tiger King.
Yeah.
Just putting that out there.
But having that 1 year of agency experience, which is a full crash course, and like I said, it is so hard. It's so demeaning. You make zero money.
Mm-hmm.
You're there from 8 to 8 some nights. Like, it's terrible. You're at a desk. I don't regret that job at all, because what I learned there, and there's a language that you learn of, leaving word, or, let's roll calls, or just like this stupid shit that I didn't even know. Like, I had to be trained on like how to speak like that. It let me walk into my next job as an executive assistant at a production company and just like get it. Mainly because when I walked in, my boss found out I grew up in Boston and lived in New York for 10 years. And she's like, great, you're hired. You're an East Coaster.
Yeah, exactly.
Let's
You
do
know
it.
what you're fucking doing. You'll figure it out if you don't.
Exactly. So I worked as an executive assistant at this other company in development. And it was a lot of unlearn, I'm going to contradict myself that I learned so much at the agency, but I also had to unlearn a lot of neuroses that I picked up there.
Yeah. I can imagine.
And like,
because you're on the pleasant side of development.
Yes.
You're on the catering to people
Right.
and
So
making
then,
sure
would
everybody
you
feels
recommend
good.
that path?
yes, I would. And like,
So get a therapist.
Well, it's just, you do have to have a strong skin in this business, and like
Anyway,
and like, I'm a big proponent of like, just because it was shitty for you doesn't mean you have to make it shitty for the next
That's right.
Yeah.
group. And like, I don't know, I hope that like my generation of like late 20s, early 30s is gonna remember that when we are in the full positions for that, because there's no need for it.
Right.
And when you're
very
micromanaged, you just
strange,
mess up more, whatever. And so I had to unlearn a lot of my like neurotic
and
tendencies.
I hope that there's a culture change, which I do see in my experience of working in some agency situations, but that the culture is trying to change, where like a lot of that ego is dissolved, and like if we're gonna work creatively, that can't be there. And so I hope that maybe there is some evolution in that. And like to your point, I mean, a lot of the people that have come up and are now running those departments were those people and are doing much like you said, or like trying to change the culture. It doesn't have to be that way. It can actually be productive in a positive way, right?
Right, and making the room comfortable makes people want to work harder and stay later.
It does. It's true. And I've started to see that. And whether that's not that like you can work from the comfort of your own home. Like I do see that I do miss aspects of office life. I work from home now. And I do miss aspects of office life. Like when I was working at the agency, like she's my best friend now. She's living out here. She's like my little sister. I never would have known her if we had been working at home.
Well, there's also the pressure that is good too. Like having pressure on seeing the working pieces and everybody's, and it's going, and then celebrities walk in the door, or you have, paperwork and there's deadlines and everybody's energy in the room that you're missing.
There is something to that. And I'm not saying that like one is right and one is wrong.
Right.
I think like truly like a good mixture of it is good because like it is important, I think, to like get up and put pants, like real pants on. Put hard pants on. That's exactly what we used to call
crunchy
them
pants.
And all that
you put
sort
your
of
crunch
stuff.
pants on.
But yeah, I think that there is a little bit of like when if I ever get to like a full executive position or a point of full leadership, which like I am carving out for myself currently, like I just will never treat. It's also just not in my nature to do that. I can be a little bitchy, but like I won't. I would never do that. But again, I don't regret that job. Because again, yes, I have this cool text chain with all my people I used to work with there, but like I just type iOS or ISO and in search of something, and then 2 minutes later I have this person's email address that I need. And so it's just building your network.
Yeah, that's big. I remember interning for a couple of casting directors, and I was very lucky to be around casting directors that were incredibly kind and lovely. Mm-hmm. But if you're an actor coming out here, don't expect anything from those casting directors. You use the room to learn the room.
Yes.
You don't ever go into a casting director's office or an agent's office expecting to get cast.
Yeah.
No.
Because they know enough actors. You are going in there for a job, and you're going into there to learn the language.
Well, yes, because actually, I can apply this to something that happened to me today. I worked at this agency. I sat in on those meetings with new client perspectives, whatever. Mm-hmm. I had a meeting with a commercial agent today. And like, I knew what questions to ask. That's I knew how he was, like, what questions he was hoping I would ask. Right. And like, how I would respond and blah, blah, blah. And that's because I tapped back to that muscle that I used 3 years ago.
It's a tool now you have. Yeah. I remember getting a note once about, it was very, very early on before I was having meetings where somebody said, I don't remember, it might have been even Deborah Lynn, my manager now, back at the time, she wasn't, but she said, don't you ever dare walk into an agent's office and the first thing you talk about is them.
No.
Like, you do talk about them.
Yeah.
Like, you don't ever wait for them to ask you questions. You don't ever wait for them to ask you how you were doing, what are you doing, da-da-da-da-da. If you walk into an agent's office during one of the meetings of trying to get an agent, and the first thing you do is like, how are you? So how did you get started in this? They're like, wow, she's pleasant to have in the room. And by the way, more than your talent, that's what an agent is looking for. Because an agent wants you to be able to walk in the room and be good in the room.
Yeah.
And I think that applies even like in our client work. But now that we're even in it, it's like, when we're going into certain situations, it's more about how we can help you, but that's also not just help you like, we're here to help. No, you're identifying what it is that they need, and then you're saying to them, okay, well, here's what we can do. This, that, and the other. So
tell me about you. What do you need? How can I help you? Or tell me about you because I want to know your history. I'm genuinely interested in you. And that also then, as a person sitting on the other side of the room, gives us information on how we can help or whatever. Like, how can I be an asset to you?
And so when you're working with these creatives, I would love to hear, because you mentioned ego, and that's always a big thing when you're working with other people. So you get into these situations. What is one way that you manage other people's egos? Do you have like any specific?
So now that I work in development and I'm working with writers, pretty frequently, and they hand you their baby. And they're like,
Right.
this is my blood, sweat, and tears.
I'm doing that with you right now.
Yes.
Yeah.
So this was something I learned. No one taught me full on. I learned and I watched. And then as a writer and an actor myself, I always was like, how would I want to receive
treated,
this? And so that's kind of how I come at it. And so if a writer hands me a script and it's needs some work and stuff, I'll always start with like, if anyone who listens to
don't
this
listen to this.
who's
If you're a
gotten an
writer,
email
don't
from
listen.
That's what I was about to say. Well, you and I
We've done this
talked,
before.
so I
We've
already
done
know.
this
But
before
I
on
already,
the show too.
I already knew where my script was. So everything you said to me, I already knew.
which is
Yeah.
honestly like that's the best
Yeah.
way to come at this. But usually what I'll start with is like, we have so much to work with here, and
Yeah.
that's great.
Yeah.
I'll always open with something like that, and I always start with some positives because like if someone writes a script, that's like
A big
love.
deal. Yeah.
But like that, they didn't just like write it because they were bored. Like there's
Right.
even
you
if
can
it's
see scripts that are written because somebody just wants to like, look, I wrote something.
yeah,
Right,
but like
right,
even
yeah.
even
Yeah.
that is just like it's so hard to write a script, and like I've read some terrible scripts. Oh my god, I've read some really terrible ones. But like every script has something you can pull and be like, this was lovely, because
Yeah.
it is lovely, because it takes so much, and it is like it is a labor of love, and like
Yeah.
someone, even if they're the worst writer in the world, they loved what they were doing at the time
Yeah.
writing that. And when you do see a writer that doesn't love what they do, that's so obvious, but like there's always something you can pull out and be like, this was a really great beat, and then here's my 87 reasons of like why the rest of
right.
it is not so good. But like I always start with like something positive, because there is something positive to say.
And do you even apply
Yeah.
that when you're dealing with executives? Like, say you're in that not intern, but even assistant level, and you're dealing with some people who have large egos, and I wouldn't say earned them, but they're
Allowed.
yeah.
in a sense.
And so with you being in those positions of assistant or management for that, how do you manage even? Because I've been in positions too where you're working with people who are of a higher level than you, and they have these huge fucking egos.
Yeah.
And I'm just curious because I think that anybody even in the industry or whatever their role is can relate.
Well, and that's the thing too, is don't be not you, but them. Don't be intimidated by people that are in executive positions, because we all started the same way, and we all are human, and we all want to feel important, and we all want to be heard. So no matter when you're walking in, even if it's an agency and you're meeting with the agent and they're the head of the agency, we're all everybody wants the same thing.
Yeah, I think it's just like, this sounds so stupid, but like, be you. I found that's gotten me the furthest.
That's good.
And
Honest,
have
authentic.
it, yeah, and like if you are in a room with an exec, like a head exec or a C-suite person or something like that, like there's gonna be an energy in the room that's just like inherent, and it's all like button up, first teams on set sort of thing.
Yeah.
And knowing when to speak, I think, has actually become some like.
That's huge. Yeah, that's good.
Not every opinion you have needs to be shared. And like also being concise will get you very far, which I don't know if has come through on this
as
podcast.
a writer.
But like
No, but that's true. That's a big deal. Yeah.
Being concise and pointed actually is what I love. Like when someone hands me a script that's over 115 pages, I'm like, there better be a damn good reason. Like,
yeah.
This better be a
fucking
biopic
Titanic.
or
Yeah,
like
exactly.
you can be James Cameron.
Where it's like, or it's an epic.
Yeah,
author.
like there better be a reason
Yeah.
that this is happening. And so it's being concise and knowing your shit, do your homework, and that will just ease your tensions in the room of being with an agent or anyone.
Doing your homework in the sense of knowing who's in the room and what and then also like what you're all talking about, and making sure that you're fully versed in the project and who the people are that are involved.
Yeah,
and...
yeah. And I mean, obviously not everyone is super Googleable. And like, you know, if you come in and you're like, oh my God, your orange cat scout's really cute. And I'll be like, whoa. Like,
Right. Why are you Facebooking this
like,
yeah.
what the heck? I mean, but it's dating. It's essentially
Right.
dating. Every meeting with somebody is just going on a date sort of thing.
But if you're working with people that are, and maybe I'm asking this for myself.
Yeah.
Because, and in a way, I like that you said, you know, being yourself in the room will get you far. I think sometimes it can either get you far or it can make you realize that that's not where you belong. Right?
I mean,
I just think that I'm always curious to see how other people deal with big egos, especially people who are in powerful positions.
it's
What your tactics are, how you handle those situations.
it's a marriage. Like, I guess like this is when you get past like the initial meet, but like, no, that's not true. It is so hard to get anything made. Like, it's so hard. It's impossible. It's truly a miracle that any movie gets made, any play gets up. Like,
and I think that's always something to remember. I don't mean to cut you off.
Yeah,
That's
no,
a big
true.
deal because they even say that. People who are like, oh, that movie sucked or that movie's whatever. But people who are actually in the movie industry and the film industry
Know how hard
can
it is to
see,
put that up.
like how
so
hard it was and how much work and how many
Yeah.
people it took to just put that
Yeah,
together.
and plays. And
Yeah,
so
right.
whenever you go see bad theater or theater that you think is bad, like you said, there's always something that, first of
Just
all,
be
as
grateful
me,
for the process.
we have to come out of it on the other side going, I learned something about this and I'm grateful for it. And these people worked hard. And there's something that is very amazing about that.
yeah.
So
But like it becomes like how we kind of judge scripts when they come in is we'll read them. It's like, do I want to spend 5 years of my life?
right.
5
Exactly.
years.
5 years at the minimum fighting daily to do this. And that also comes with like a personality. Like, I'm dealing with some personalities in a project now, and it's hard. It's really hard, and it makes it not fun. And it makes it like you almost don't want to do it.
Been there.
But you believe in what it is, so you hope that, like, you know, you're only in charge of yourself, essentially. And so if I have to slightly humble myself or play the monkey in the middle or something like that to get this thing done and made, then I'm gonna do that. And it's like, it's just, you got into that room for a reason. Like, nobody has time for anything. And so the fact that like they're going to take time for you means that you already like half won. Like,
Yeah.
that's truly what it is. Like, when you're managing egos,
Nobody's doing you a favor.
No one-
So if you're in the room, you
Yeah.
deserve to be there.
and so when it comes to those egos, just know that like that big ass ego saw something in you to invite you into something. And so take that knowledge of that, and the respect of how they got that ego is also something to kind of keep in mind.
I need to learn that.
Does that help at all?
It helps. I just don't know if I agree.
No, that's fair. That's fair. But like,
Yeah.
your job as a writer is not to like knock everyone down and
Well, even
like,
as a
ground
producer.
them. When it comes
Right.
to producing, the best thing you can do is just like find like-minded people,
Exactly.
and
That's
that
where I'm
takes.
at. And maybe it's because of my age too, where I'm just like, I don't have fucking time.
No, I think that's fair.
You know, I'm getting.
But you also might be the big energy in the room. Even if you're seeing bigger people or you're going into meetings with big executives or whatever.
But being the big energy doesn't mean you're like the overcompassing energy.
No, it
right?
doesn't.
And
Right.
so I always look to try to find where we each best fit for the betterment of the project.
Yeah.
And then sometimes, you know, you have those larger egos that all of a sudden, no. Your idea, no. Right? And
Yeah.
and even if even if that goes against what you believe is for the better of the project. So I'm just curious as to like being in the room with some of the people, how
I think
you
we're also-
deal with that. But
Yeah.
I'm a people pleaser at
yeah.
the end of the day, for better or for worse. So
Oh, see, I fight authority. Fight the power.
No.
That's
Fight the power. That
and that's okay though, because you push and you push, which is good, and you are 100%.
But for the betterment of the project.
Yes, of course.
And if I'm wrong, then I'm wrong. But I can
absolutely, but you don't have ego. But so I think one of the things that needs to be for what I've learned is that everybody really, really wants to feel heard.
Yeah.
And so even if they're the biggest executive fucking whoever in the room, yes, it's nerve-wracking going in, and yes, they have the power over you, but really, bottom line, we're all the fucking same.
But
we all want to feel important and validated.
What if
and
they
heard.
don't reciprocate that? See, that's where I have a problem.
Then it's not gonna work.
Yeah.
Like it's not gonna and that all. There's nothing wrong with
She just winked. Did you all see that?
Didn't wink at all. There's nothing wrong with
She winked
walking away.
upstage.
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with what?
Walking away at the end of the day. Like some things are just not worth your blood pressure.
Okay, good. I just had validation.
That's all you needed the whole time?
That was it. Show's over. I got what I needed.
That was a long journey.
Conciseness. Remember how I really hammered that home?
So, yeah, exactly.
You did as soon as she asked the question.
Being a big fat liar.
No.
So I think that if you're looking to get into development, really exercising, your connections within, like jumping into a job that may not be ideal at first, but knowing that you're going to make the connections.
Yes.
And then seeing what doors open from that, because you could end up doing much like you or like we have done, where it's not what we expected. We had no idea.
If you have forward momentum, it doesn't matter necessarily where your forward momentum is taking you. If you're following the string and you're still going after, I know I want to be in this industry, or I know I want this or whatever, I feel like you don't have to say, I want to be an agent and this job sucks. This means that what am I taking away from this?
Well, most people that go into agencies don't become agents, right? Like most of the people that intern in an agency or a talent like division, they're not.
Right, but she sat in a job for a year, but she not necessarily knew where it was going to take her, or knew that this is like, I'm going to go in here and learn something. She went in and said, no, this might suck, but I'm fucking walking away with something. Yeah. And this job sucks, but I'm going to take every single positive thing that I can and
put it in my little toolbox.
Right.
And pull it when I need it. Yeah.
Right. It's kind of, it's also like being in a relationship. Like you go through all these relationships where you're like, I like this about this person. This is what I need in my next relationship, but I'm leaving all the bullshit behind. And then the next one is even more. And then the next one is even more.
Well, and also too, when she goes in for that executive assistant position, they sat there and were like, oh, you sat in at an agency for a year. As like, you can
take the bullshit. Oh yeah, come on in.
Yeah, I mean, truly night and day. Like when I tell you I had to unlearn shit, but like, yes, it's just all building blocks,
right?
And, like when you put it into that toolbox, and you update your resume or whatever, you're like, oh, I've done some shit.
And what's really great about that too is like not only from going from the agency aspect, but then into development, even as an assistant. But you were talking about all the scripts that you've read. So regardless of whether you think you're coming into LA to like be an actor or whatever, writer, you sat in and you were reading scripts.
Reading scripts,
I'm telling you,
made me a fucking writer.
Yeah.
Like
100%.
I got final draft and it, did it all, the spacing for me. Yeah. But like I actually, and I'm still learning. I'm like a self-taught writer.
Yeah.
And I'm not.
But you know story. You
accomplished. But
story.
when you read a script, good, bad, or ugly, you just learn so much. And like for like a writer, I would say take your 5 favorite movies and find the scripts for that. Every script you could ever want is available on PDF on the Google.
Moms are too.